Hello, I'm Lucas, and I'm on Strike the Sun MD. I'm going out of my mind because of the coronavirus, and I'm going stir crazy. I've been in my apartment for about 2 weeks now. I've gone out a little bit just to get food and water, but while it's not dire in Shanghai, it is ever present on my mind and causes me a great deal of stress for every number of reasons, which I won't get into. I want to talk about Geometria. I figure I can do movie reviews too, or in this case a short film review. No reason not to. It's my channel. I can do as I please, I suppose. And that film would be Geometria by Guillermo del Toro, which is his 10th directorial effort. I have some notes down here, so if you see me looking down, I will be looking at these. Which is based on a short story by Fredric called Naturally. And I will leave a link down below for that, because it's very short. If you're interested, it takes like 30 seconds to read. To give a brief synopsis of it, there's this young boy who's failing his geometry class, and his mother reads a letter from the school and scolds him for it. And like any good boy who wants to make their mother proud, when their mother is disappointed in their educational efforts, he summons a demon to solve his problems. It's a wild short film, and it's amazing. it's about 6 minutes long for the director's cut. I initially made it in 1987, and I wasn't very happy with it. It was 9 or 10 minutes, and he made a director's cut for the Criterion release of his 1993 film Chronos, which is fantastic. If you've never watched it, I recommend it if you enjoy Guillermo del Toro. You can find the director's cut on Criterion Channel, which is a streaming service for classic cultural movies from all over the world, every country. It's an amazing service. You can also find the director's cut on YouTube, but on YouTube there are no subtitles, I believe. And you can watch the original cut too on YouTube. I will leave links to both of those. They are in Spanish, not in English, so that is an issue if you don't speak Spanish. But you know, it's so short and it's very clear what's happening. You can watch it visually and just enjoy the Spanish language. You really don't need to understand it to understand it. So this boy summons a demon, as I mentioned, and to do so safely, he has to draw a pentagram on the floor in his own blood and stand within it to protect himself from the power of the demon, who will grant his wish, because apparently it's like a genie. As I mentioned before, or meant to mention before, Fredric I guess, was known for his twist endings, according to Guillermo del Toro. Much like O. Henry, the short story writer from forever ago. When he summons the demon, he's horrified by what he sees. His mother comes in, worried for her son because he's screaming, and then he makes his wishes for one, to never fail geometry again, and two, so that he can see his father, who passed before the events of this film. And had he been smart, he would have just studied. But instead, he decided to take drastic measures to resolve his issues instead of doing what he should have done, which was open his book and study, because he's sick and tired of doing it, and he doesn't understand it, and he doesn't care for it, he doesn't like it. And he makes these wishes with the demon, and he gets exactly what he wishes for. But, with that said, of course, with this kind of story, with a twist ending, you should always be careful for what you wish for. I don't want to spoil the ending. I'm sure you can figure it out. You will figure it out immediately, just visually. Even if you don't watch the Criterion Channel version, you will see what the problem is. If the setup doesn't click in your head right away. And I'd just like to talk about sort of the creation of it. It's very clear that Guillermo's style came early on. I mean, with the sort of mysticism of it, it's not quite a fairy tale story, but there's this demonic creature and these grotesque figures and gratuitous violence in it that you expect from Del Toro in any of his more modern films from the 2000s or even the 90s or from this past decade. And the color palette choices that he makes, very strong, but those kind of choices are still present, and you can, in his more recent movies, and you can see that with any example. There's very strong pinks and blues and reds throughout this. There's no natural lighting at all, and there shouldn't be with this kind of story. It's so off the wall, and yeah, it's worth watching. I'll leave a link to it on in the description box. I'll leave a link to the short story it's based on. I'll leave a link to the director's cut, to the original cut. I have not watched the original cut. Apparently it has different music and some things are cut out, probably for the best, because it doesn't need to be any longer than it is. But if you've watched it, or after you watch it, tell me what you think. I'd like to know. Do you like Guillermo del Toro's work? I like some of it, personally. And yeah, have a good one. This video is officially longer than the director's cut, but shorter than the original cut, which I'm sure is its own fascinating. Have a good one.